Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Andrew Michaels, and I'm here to help you. Continuing with our series on the malfeasance I see in my country, I'd like to tell you a story to help you understand why I'm so driven to pursue these things, why I feel it's my responsibility and my duty to report these things, to participate in these things, and to spread awareness about the movement that I'm a part of. The movement I'm a part of, it's not some political action group or some high-powered political group that's trying to whatever. This is a grassroots campaign to voice our opinion, to raise and amplify the voices of those who feel that things are not going in a good direction in this great nation of ours, and to also take back the flag, to take back what it means to be a patriot, to push aside those that are fake patriots, false prophets, and quite honestly felons, and return the United States to a land of freedom and justice in the American way. Now, that being said, I want to tell you a story, and it happened, relatively speaking, a long time ago, around 2016, 2017, that time frame, during the first four years of Donald Trump's presidency. I live in a small town of Salem, Ohio, and there's a lot of businesses and industries here, and I think there's like 12 to 14,000 people living in the general area of this small city, depending on who you count and all that. And I'm not sure if it's in the city limits or outside the city limits, but there's a Sugardale ham factory outside of town. Just outside I think it's outside the city limits, on the other side of the tracks. It may be in the city limits. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'm generally just telling you it's in Salem area, right near the city. And they employ a lot of people from Honduras and Guatemala. These are people with green cards or work permits, whatever they are, because they can't find enough people to work there that live in the area. And I've lived here for most of my life in the Youngstown, Salem area. I only lived in North Canton, Ohio for 3 years. Otherwise, I always lived in this area. And I assure you, I've talked to so many people that have refused to work at this factory. It's like a huge freezer box. It's cold. It's hard work. I know some people have made an actual career working there, and it is a struggle. They work long hours. Sometimes, I think they work like a 12-hour shift sometimes. And I don't want to speak too much of it because I didn't actually work there, but I know so many people who have worked there. And only a few of them are successful where they made a career of it and try to make a go most of the people, and I mean the majority, the huge majority of people in my town that tried working there, I even had some relatives go there to try and work. They last a week, 2 weeks at the most. They're gone, and they'll never go back. And I tell you this with all the peace and love in my heart. It's a nasty place. In my time when I was younger, I might have worked there because I worked very hard careers when I was younger. And I struggled. And I worked in some very harsh environments. And I think I could have made a go of it there, but I can tell you right now, if I lost my job, I would not even think about applying there. There's just no way. So, I know people that lasted a day, 2 days, a week there, quit. Couldn't handle it. So they're so desperate for workers that they bring people from thousands of miles away in Honduras and Guatemala. That's where I've been told the people come from. They're not Mexicans, and they're not. That's where they say they're from. And they're very nice people. They send their kids to school, the ones that have children, and they seem like quiet, peaceful people. I have not heard a lot of complaints about violence or crime from them. And they also have opened several Latin stores in our town to support that small community. And when my sons are adults, when my sons still lived at home, they would frequent those businesses. My sons, like most young people, are very open-minded and loved, ethnic foods of all kinds. And they would go down and get aloe vera water and strange soda pops and all kinds of spices and foods from these stores and products that you normally can't get at the store. I remember the aloe vera water being one of the ones that I thought was odd and interesting. And my sons were always polite and kind to these people. And of course, my wife and I and my family were always very nice and kind to all the people we meet, let alone these fine folks. And I also heard that a lot of them were very religious and had ties with the local Catholic Church and other churches in the area, but mostly the Catholic Church. And the Catholic Church administered to these people and nurtured them and showed them kindness and welcomed them in. This is what I was told. I'm not Catholic. I don't go to the church, but I've heard this from many people. Salem's a small city, so I know a lot of people, and it's not unusual to see all people of all types and all kinds in Salem. It's a very artistic town and has a lot of different personalities, but it also has a lot of industry and a lot of hardworking, middle-class people. And it also has a pretty good segment of very wealthy people. So it's kind of like a small version of the entire United States all kind of globbed into one. We have, honestly, I think maybe 1 or 2 billionaires in the area. A bunch of millionaires, and then we have a ton of working class people, and then we have the working poor, a lot of working poor. And then we have this substantial immigrant, migrant worker type population that seems to be pretty good. They don't cause any trouble that I know of. Back in 2017 or around then, there was a Gestapo raid. They call it ICE, I-C-E, but I call it the Gestapo, and they are the Gestapo. They come roaring into Salem, Ohio, with their guns at the ready, body armor, fully armored up, and descended on Fresh Park. And they had helicopters helicopters in the air. I was home that day. I was at home from work. I work midnights. And it happened, and maybe I was on afternoon shift back then, but I was home in the morning when this happened. And it was a big story. You might have saw it if you were from Ohio, or you might have saw it even nationally, because they made a big deal how they raided this business. They're going to teach these immigrants a lesson. Okay. And they came in with helicopters and everything, and I remember the helicopters. I remember seeing them flying over my house, and I was kind of like, what the hell's going on here? And I didn't, I was tired. It was before work, and I was so busy back then, I didn't really give it a second thought, but I did notice these helicopters and some stuff. So, I was told this by two different people that work there. So, I did not witness this directly, but these people are people I trusted and I care about a lot. And they told me that the Gestapo, and that's what they are. They're dirty, filthy Gestapo. They came in and they rounded all of the workers up, not just the ones that were the immigrant workers, the migrant workers. They rounded everybody up. Raided the office, raided the papers. Whether or not they had writs, search warrants or anything, nobody knows, nobody knew. But they rounded up all the workers, shut the whole place down, so they lost business that day. They lost production. They hurt that business, and this is a very, the local economy depends on this business, and they shut it down while they were there. And they lined everybody up. Now, this is the very important part of the story that you need to know, that why I'm so vehemently calling them the Gestapo. These geniuses, they lined everybody up, and they decided who was an immigrant and who was an American, and they separated the people at gunpoint. At gunpoint. The brown people over on one side, the white people on the other side. Now, once they separated them, brown people over here, white folk over here, if you look like an American, you go over here. If you look like a brown person, you go over here. Now, once they separated everybody, they went through at gunpoint and checked everyone's identification. All the white folk had to produce was like a driver's license or an ID. All the brown folk, and this is, I want to be clear, I'm not being racist, this is how it was told to me. They had to produce their papers, IDs, everything. Out of about 150 people that they suspected were violators or not welcome here, they found 3 people who did not have the proper identification on them. Now, they held all these people. They were held. They were not given the right to make phone calls. They were not given the right to contact anybody. They were all held. And these 3 people, out of 150, they claimed, I think on the news, they arrested or detained 150 people or some godforsaken number. And we know, because we're from the area, that only 3 people had problems with their identification. Now, this was told to me by 2 different people. Now, whether or not it's 100% true, I know everybody will beat this story up, but they told me 2 of the people just didn't have their paperwork on them. They had to go get the paperwork to prove who they were. It was like they just didn't bring their wallet with them. Like, how many times have you forgotten your wallet? I know if you're an immigrant in the United States and you know that Orange Jesus is in office, I think you better have your wallet on you. So I don't know if I'll give them a break on that. But okay, they didn't have their actual identification on them and they had to go get it. That was 2 of the 3. One of the people was someone who was lying or deceiving the government on their paperwork. So they caught one guy. One. Okay, good job. You raid a whole business, you shut it down, you scare the living hell out of a bunch of good, hardworking, very hardworking Americans. You attack them in their workplace. You scare the living hell out of these people. I mean, the people I know were traumatized by this. This was a scary ass thing. It was frightening. It was ignorance. It was an abomination of government overreach to treat all these people this way, let alone the way they did it. I mean, they shut the place down and scared the hell out of people. And they did capture one guy, so good on them. There was a bad hombre in the joint. One bad hombre. And here it was a guy that just had faulty paperwork and he was an idiot. And all they had to do was eject him. And that's fine. Eject him. Take him back. Send him away. Fine. I get it. That guy did not have any business working there. He didn't have any business being in this country. Fine. I get it. One guy. And I'll be honest, I heard he was a real jerk-off. He was not a nice person, and he caused a lot of little problems in the town. I think he even attended the school, but I can't quote that. And I think he was a pain in the ass, and they had to throw him out of the school. So he was kind of a jerk-off. 1 out of 150, yeah, I know 150 people. You know how many jerk-offs I know out of 150 people? Probably 20, 30 out of 150. So I would expect them to find some hombres. Well, they found one zippity-doo-dah. Okay, fine. They dealt with that. They got them. They reported that they detained all these people, and they did detain a lot of people. And it was so frightening that when the kids got out of school that day, they were afraid to go home. So the children of these immigrant people that were here legally working with legal green cards and legal status, their children in fear, because I guess they had already talked to their parents about what do you do if there's an emergency, they ran to the only safe places they knew. They ran to churches where they could ask for sanctuary, and the local churches in our community did protect the children, the wives of these people or family members that had, out of fear, nowhere to go and ran. And the whole community rallied around to protect these immigrants. They really did. The community really came forward and helped shepherd these people and protect them. This is an instance where small town churches, small town Christian groups actually really did what they say they do and protected this immigrant group. And the schools did a lot to help them too, and the local government, I heard, was very helpful. I think they brought in an outside police force. I don't know if it was the State Highway Patrol or somebody, and the local police didn't know they were coming. So that caused a lot of consternation. I could be wrong on that. Because there's a couple instances where the feds come in and they did that. If I'm wrong about that, then I apologize. This isn't just hearsay. This is a true story. This really happened. It was an event. And the details, I think are important, that they held American citizens at gunpoint to achieve their goals. luckily no one got hurt. Now, while this was going on, there was this total piece of shit. And if he ever sees this video, brother, you are a total piece of shit. Who met one of the local newsmen. I think it was Stan Boney. Stan Boney worked for Channel 33. Now remember, this is 10 years ago. I might be wrong. But a local news reporter went down and was doing a story on the ice raid in Salem, Ohio. And outside the factory was this piece of shit man who was all too happy to talk to the reporter. And he was bragging that he turned this place in, he turned Fresh Market to ICE and to the federal government. And then he was begging them to come here and raid this place because they have all these illegal workers there. And he wanted to shut them down. He wanted to get even. He wanted to get these people out of his community because they're stealing jobs from good, tax-paying Americans. And Stan Boney from Channel 33 did an interview of him. And for a long time, it's still maybe on YouTube. I'll look it up. If I find it, I'll put a link below. So check the links below. This prick told him, that these people were stealing jobs from Americans. Hardworking, tax-paying Americans. And the funny part about it was, we already knew anybody who lived here knew that that place was a hellhole to work at. That it was a hard freezer, these huge indoor freezers, conveyor belt work, assembly line work. And it was hellacious hard work, and that they, most people can't handle it. But this guy, he felt that, those jobs were being taken away from Americans. That's why they had to go 1,000 miles away to get people to work here. Okay, now here's the fun part. Guy couldn't wait to tell people his name, rank and serial number practically. He couldn't wait to brag up that he single-handedly turned this place in, and that's why they're raiding it. Because he's a true American. He's a good rat. He's a rat. He ratted this company out that's providing taxes to the city of Salem and jobs to the city of Salem and all those workers that are paying good, healthy taxes to the community. They're paying lots of tax, all these workers that are working overtime, 12-hour day shifts, and 6 days a week, busting their hump and paying all this money in, and all these immigrants that also pay taxes on their wages and stuff and work there, and all that money they pump into the local economy. He's gonna rat that business out, shut them down. He's gonna bust them. He's gonna teach them a lesson. Okay. Because, we don't want to take jobs away from good, wholesome, dyed red, white, and blue Americans, right? That are paying their taxes. I'm on that tax thing. You probably know where this is going. Well, there's this little thing called the internet. And jackass piece of shit that he was, told everybody his name. So internet sleuths had it their day made for them. They just had to click, 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 put his name into the search bar of Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else. La da da da. He had a Facebook. Isn't that precious? Doofus McGee here had a Facebook. Oh, God, this is so good. Oh, praise Jesus, praise the Lord. This guy had a praise our heavenly sky daddy. This genius, good, wholesome American Christian man, tax-paying mother effer. He had a Facebook. And on his Facebook, he acknowledged that he is a disabled American. Oh, I think he was a veteran too. That's cool. Hey, thank you for your service, dickhead. So this guy was disabled, and he can't work. But on Facebook, right beside all the disabled crap, poor me, I'm disabled. Wham. He was advertising how he does home remodeling jobs for people for cash, under the table, flooring jobs, decorating, flooring jobs, and lays Pergo floor, man. He'll lay a nice Pergo floor for you, in your house. Nice tile floor, man. This guy knows his shit. He's a good hard worker. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever laid Pergo floor in your house or done any tile work on your floor of your house. I have. It's about 12, 15 years ago was the last time I got down on my hands and knees, put knee pads on, and put Pergo, that floating laminate floor, in my kitchens, my bathrooms, and my living room and hallway of the living room while I was off work for a while. And it took me days to do, and I had to have a cutter and all this. And I'll tell you what, my knees were killing me, even with a good industrial heavy set of knee pads. I was spent when I was done. I was done when I was done. I was like, that's the last time I'm ever doing that. I'm too old for this shit. I'm too old for this shit. Here's this guy. He looks like he's about my age, 40s, mid-40s, late 40s. And he's out there laying that tarmac down, laying that tile down, laying that flooring down, collecting that cash, baby, working under the table, drawing unemployment from our government, and not paying his fair share of taxes. Oh, Lord. Oh, did the comment section of these videos about Freshmark light the hell up. It was like Christmas in July. Fireworks, baby. 4th of July. This guy got the roasting of a lifetime. I was so angry I actually wanted to find this guy and have a little talk with him, because he was a filthy fucking rat. He ratted out a lot of people, and he risked hurting a lot of real Americans at the point of a gun, just so he could prove how big of a piece of dog shit that he was. And luckily, nobody got hurt. Nobody's kids got hurt. Nobody's wives got hurt. Nobody's fathers and brothers got hurt. All because this guy wanted to suck up the orange Jesus and kiss his ass. And he's a lazy, no-good rip-off artist. And he's committing fraud against the United States government and ripping off you and me, the American people, and not paying his fair share of taxes. You can't work when you're on disability, but like that under the table, that's illegal. That's fraud. Who the hell does he think he is? What kind of evil person would do that and then turn around and turn in completely innocent Americans and get them held at gunpoint by the Gestapo just so he can prove his little political point? There were a whole bunch of investigations of the paperwork at Freshmart, and some mistakes in paperwork came up, and they do have some mistakes, and they did make some mistakes with their immigrant workers, their green card people. They made some mistakes, and I believe that they did have to settle all that and get that straightened out. So they weren't perfect, and there was some mistakes, and there were people there, one guy or two or three, that probably shouldn't have worked there. Okay, so he proved his point. He won. He let the Gestapo come in and sweep through our town and scare the hell out of a lot of people. Now I see the Gestapo with no uniforms on, no police identification whatsoever, and masks on, and black hats, and clothes with no police markings on them, grabbing people off the streets, grabbing our public officials and rousting them, putting them in handcuffs, throwing them out of buildings. They even arrested a senator just because he was being a little unruly in a meeting, a press conference. They put him in handcuffs, threw him to the ground. Some people had FBI on their coats, but some of those people were unmarked. And my problem is, I'm a grown man and I'm driving downtown and I see some van pull up and some guys with masks on start grabbing women and children, throwing them in the back of a van. No markings, no identification on their van, no police badges, no clear markings on their clothes, armed to the teeth. How do I know they're not serial killers or sex traffickers or something else? Do they even know the optics of what it looks like, what they're doing? How disgusting they are. They're acting like a bunch of criminals. What they're doing cannot be good if they have to act like criminals to achieve their means. What happens if somebody, because Ohio's a open carry state, what happens if somebody fires on these guys, disables their van? Are you going to arrest them for interfering with police business? Government work, interfering with it. If a person doesn't fire upon them and just holds them at gunpoint till the real police show up, the real cops with real badges, real cop cars, real uniforms, are they going to have the police arrest that person for obstruction, for stopping them from doing their job when they're walking around like a bunch of secret agents? What is this cloak and dagger shit? This is the United States of America. These guys, it's been said that these Gestapo agents, and they are Gestapo, they're filthy criminals, every last one of them. And if any of them are watching, I called you a criminal. I called you a criminal. You know what you're doing is wrong. You're hiding your face. You're hiding your identity because you know how this ends. This ends with Orange Jesus getting ejected from office sooner or later. And then we're going to find out who you are. We're going to find out who these people are. And they're going to have to live with this for the rest of their lives. And I know for a fact that all of us are going to treat you, Gestapo criminals, better than you're treating us right now. You'll get better treated than we are getting treated right now. People won't hold you at a gunpoint. People won't arrest you and throw cuffs on you without due process. People won't silence you and arrest you and throw you out of a building like a criminal. Due process applies to everyone that is arrested in this country. Now let's just get that straight. You are afforded due process in this country, no matter who you are. I don't know where that changed. Where that changed in people's minds. That it's okay to take the rights away from people just because you don't like them, or they're the wrong color, or they come from the wrong part of the world. Now, I'm going to tell you one quick story because I know, and I think the Gestapo know exactly how this is going to end. I knew a little old lady. She was from Germany. She's long dead. She died in the 1980s. She loved my family. She loved the ground my father walked on. She loved my mother. Probably because my parents were really nice, salt-of-the-earth people. My dad had a thing, my dad was in Germany during the Vietnam era in the early 60s. My dad spent a couple years in Germany, in Munich. And this lady, I think my dad really tried hard to make her feel welcome. And I think that was the connection that started this really strong friendship. And we all learned German in high school, so we could talk German to her a little bit. And she loved it, and she was such a sweet lady and would cook for us. And she was really interesting. She was the first person I learned about 30-day bread, or whatever it's called. It's a bread. My friend's grandmother made it too, where you had to put the bread products in like the basement. They would spoil for like 30 days. Then they would make bread out of this stuff. But you didn't care because you ate the hell out of it. It was so good. These women knew how to stretch food to make it last. Anyway, this wonderful lady, I won't say her name, protect her identity. Of course, she came from Germany, and she lived through the hardships of the war. Her husband was a soldier, I believe, but he didn't die. He lived through it, and but she lost a lot of family, as many people did in Germany, and not everybody in Germany was happy with what was going on with the Nazi Party and the Gestapo and all the pogroms they had. Not everybody was happy with the pogroms, and they were not happy that fighter jets from the United States would come down and strafe their farm fields, strafe their gardens, strafe their buildings. When they were done finishing their missions, if they had any leftover ammunition, they would come down and strafe communities and stuff to cause as much collateral damage as they could to slow the Germans down, slow their war production down. So the civilians suffered from bombings and strafings and all these things just as much as the military did. And one time she told me she went into a building with her daughter and her children, whatever, and they went down into a basement, and it was full of people, and they were all dead. They looked perfect. There's nothing wrong with them. They were just all dead where they had suffocated. Whatever bombs went off above them, or maybe it was a firebomb, I'm not sure, but it basically had leached all the oxygen out of the area they were in, or they were sealed in too tight. And they just suffocated in their sleep. They all went down into this small, tight underground bunker, and they all suffocated and died, and she found them. Maybe they were trying to get in there, too, for the same reason, but she told us, and they were all, there was not a mark on them, and it just really leveled her to see something like that. She saw, cows and chickens would be out in the field, and the guys would strafe the fields and kill the cows and chickens, and they said, well, we're eating good tonight. Because now they had to eat these animals that they were using for milk or sustenance and eggs, and now they're dead, so, well, cut them up, we gotta eat them good tonight. So, I don't know, that made me laugh when she told me that story, but the part I want to get to that's important to this story about the Gestapo is when the war was over, all the men returned from the field, and their community had men that were connected to the Nazi Party that controlled things, and some of them might have been Gestapo, but basically they were bad hombres. Yeah, they were nasty little criminals that pushed the people around. They pushed the people around of their own, too. The German people suffered a lot during the war, even if they did go along with things. There was a point where the Germans knew they were losing, and they were forced to keep going along with this madness until the end. And they suffered right along with everybody else. Now that doesn't mean anything more than I said. But this is important. When they lost the war, American soldiers came in and took over the towns. She was on the American side, and she couldn't get any money or food for her family, so she went to an American officer's home. She knew a little English. She's actually a smart woman. And she offered her services as a maid, housekeeper, cook. So she was working for this American officer or group of officers, and they had a home, a bigger home, and she worked there as a housekeeper, as a maid, as a cook, to provide food and money and earnings for her family to keep them from starving to death. And she was working there, and things were going okay for them. They had a job. They had, they were going in the right direction. One night at dinner, and I don't know the officers, I don't know the whole details, but at dinner she overheard, or was serving them, or whatever the case may be. She overheard the officers. They rarely talked in front of her. This night she heard them talking about how they couldn't find anybody. These guys just took their uniforms off. And they just melted back into the population. All these disgusting, vile humans that belonged to the German Gestapo at the time. They just took their uniforms off. They went back to their jobs as lawyers, doctors, councilmen, plumbers, whatever. They just went back to their jobs, back to their homes, act like nothing ever happened. And the people were terrified of them because they knew who they were. Well, if you knew this lady, I knew. I miss her. She is a strong woman. She was a strong woman. And she wasn't afraid of them. Not anymore. No. She lost way too many people in her life to be afraid of them anymore. There is a number out there. There's a number that they can reach where they can kill and hurt and maim enough people in your life that you don't care anymore. You're not afraid of them anymore. You're certainly not afraid of death. And she reached that point long before the war ended. So she, in her broken English, she wasn't that good at it even when I knew her, but she could speak English pretty well. But in her English, she told the officers, I know exactly where those guys are. I know exactly who they are. You get out a piece of paper and a pen and I will tell you every last name in this town, every last one I know. They were stunned. Nobody would talk to them. The people were frightened. They were scared. They were as scared of the Americans as they were the Germans. They'd been through so much. They didn't know who to trust. They didn't know who to talk to. This was like a breakthrough for them. Maybe they did it on purpose. Maybe they were being nice to her and giving her food, money for her kids. And then maybe they just openly talked that day to see what she would do, see how she reacted. That's the way intelligence officers sometimes do things. They, get you comfortable and get you talking. Maybe that's the case, but she told me specifically. They looked at her like, whew, okay, start talking. She told them everybody's name and who they were. She even told them their ranks if she knew and where they worked or whatever. And they went out and they verified all that. And once they started to arrest the first one, as soon as the German people saw him arrest the first one, the dominoes fell. And they come out and told on every single one of them. It just took one or two people to speak up, and once they knew that we don't have to be afraid of these pricks anymore, they ratted them all out hard and righteously so, and they deserved every bit of it. And they rounded them all up. And then they were gone. Those people never had to fear them again. Kind of sucks, doesn't it? When people just rat you out, round you up, and you disappear. Kind of sucks, doesn't it? You Gestapo pricks. And I think it's just something you should think about. Because as you do to your neighbors, it will be done to you. And we all know how this is going to play out. Orange Jesus is not a loyal man. He turns on people all the time. Turns on his lawyers, turns on his associates, turns on politically everybody that doesn't bow the knee and show loyalty and kiss that ring. And you people are just guys that work for some government agency, and you mean nothing to him. There is no ICE agent out there who is worth any more than the next, and he would write you all off in a heartbeat. He would throw all of you to the wolves to save his orange ass. And you know it, because you're not stupid. You guys are vetted out. You're vetted. You guys are smart guys. You know your days are numbered because he's going to hang you. He'll hang you himself. And you know that. It won't be us. It'll be them. It'll be him that hangs you. I was always proud of my friend because she spoke up. She stood her ground. She did the right thing. Those guys thought they were going to get away with it, and they didn't. And there's right now a lot of guys out there working for this guy that think he's going to install some kind of autocracy or some theocracy in this country and let the evangelical Christian movement run this country. And we all got news for you. There's way more of us than there are of you. And we're eventually going to overcome this and run you guys out of business. You're all going to get run out of business. It's going to go the other way. The pendulum in the United States swings one way and then swings another. You guys got your Trump in there, then we got Biden in there. Sooner or later, Trump's going to go. Sooner or later, Vance is going to go. And you're going to have to deal with a whole new group of hombres. And you know it. And I think these ICE agents know it too. That's why they're hiding their identities. They're hiding their identities hard. I feel for them. Maybe one ICE agent, maybe two, will somehow watch this video and realize they're on the wrong side of history and change their ways and run. Quit. Do the right thing. Man up. I don't know. I doubt it, but maybe. One quick note before I go. I know a lot of people are frustrated with me doing this kind of stuff instead of true ASMR, and I'm sorry. But I watched a United States Senator get thrown to the ground by the FBI and by, I assume, ICE agents. I don't know, because they weren't identified. Handcuffed and drugged out of a building during a press conference. I've seen other government officials arrested, detained. Now, when I say detained or arrested, they get the handcuffs on them and they drag them out of a building. That's my version of arrest. I've seen people get, ratcheted up for the stupidest stuff lately. And this stuff's got to stop. We're a country of laws. We're a country of due process. We're a country where freedom actually matters. If people are here legally and they have legal paperwork and legal asylum, they should be afforded their right to their day in court. And that doesn't mean I want illegal immigration or that I'm soft on this. I think everybody deserves their day in court. And there's the old saying, they can do it to them, they can do it to you. And that's where we're heading. I don't know how much longer I can keep going on this before YouTube shuts me down or somebody else shuts me down. I've been getting threats, and I'm not afraid. I don't know why you would threaten me, because you know I'm not gonna back down. You know I'm not. You know I'm not. You know I'm stronger than you. That if you threw me down and you stomped my guts out, I'm still stronger than you. Because I won't back down to you. And people like you. I never have. And I never will. It's not in my DNA. And I can say that. I can say that. And I know my kids know they know I love them. And my wife knows I love her. And my mom and dad know I love them. And they know I won't quit. There's no such thing as quit in my heart. in my mind and in my soul. But I know you'll quit. You'll wise up. You'll catch on. Maybe I can educate you. Teach you what it means to be a Gestapo agent. Teach you what the history of being a Gestapo agent is. Teach you that I'm not afraid to talk about the Gestapo, and I don't care if they don't like it, or if you don't like it, or anybody else doesn't like it. It's evil. It's an abomination upon this land, and a scourge to all we believe in. And I'm ashamed of them. And it has to stop. We have to make it stop. Vietnam went on for 10 years, and it didn't stop because the hippies ran around and said peace and love. Those same hippies are the same idiots doing this to us right now, the baby boom generation. The baby boom generation was running around burning their draft cards and F the police and F the government, F the draft, free love, taking drugs. That's not what stopped Vietnam. What stopped Vietnam was when mothers and fathers got tired of burying their children. They got tired of burying their sons. And people that look like me, that sound like me, that were older like me, started putting pressure on the government. And that's when it stopped. When people like me said, we'll join you, this has to stop, this is a mistake. That's when this stopped. That's when people like Richard Nixon knew they couldn't get reelected if they let this go on, so they had to put a stop to it. That's why it stopped. Not because they wanted out of Vietnam, not because they weren't making money on it or getting a buy on it. There was, benefits to being there that, don't have anything to do with any of us. They quit because people like you and me joined together and put a stop to it. It's that simple. And you need to remember that. And I think you're seeing it right now. People are like, okay, you won the election, fine. But we didn't sign up for this bullcrap. And we have a right to petition our government. We have a right to demand change. The people on the other side, they want their things that are important to them. We're on another side of that coin. We want what's important to us. We want to retain our democracy, return to a government of three-party system with checks and balances, and not this rampant executive branch just doing whatever it wants. Executive overreach is the problem here, and it has to stop. It has to be curtailed. Okay, and if people don't like it, I'm sorry. If you don't like what I'm doing, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to offend you. I'm trying to educate those that I can. I'm trying to reach people. I'm trying to amplify my voice. And I've done actually a pretty damn good job of it, and so is my wife. We went to that rally. My channel reached thousands, tens of thousands of people. I've offended a lot. I lost a lot of subs. Not that many. But I've got thousands of thumbs up and likes and comments coming in every day supporting me, way outnumbering the negatives. People are hungry for this. They're hungry for the change. They're hungry for a movement. My wife got interviewed by Occupy Democrats, and her witness of being at the No Kings rally was seen by over 1 million people on that video. She amplified her voice. I amplified her voice. We amplified our voices. We amplified our voices. Do you understand me? Those of you pissed off or bitching, you're already losing. So you better get used to it, because we're just getting started. People that look like me, people that sound like me, people my age, people that are not boomers. I'm Gen X. And I'm tired of this. I'm tired of being under the foot, under the thumb, and under the brow of this baby boom generation. Has done nothing but shit on us younger generations the whole time of my life. And we're sick of it, and it's got to stop. Don't give up. Don't back down. Let your voice be heard. If you don't like what I'm saying, tell me about it. If you do like what I'm saying, tell me about it. But if you don't like it, the only thing I ask is look some stuff up on your own. Don't do your own research on websites that are pro this or pro that. Do some actual research. I haven't watched CNN, Fox, any news network, 24-hour news network, in 20 years. I don't even have cable in my house. I do my own research from viable, good sources. And I compare and I check sources. You can do that too. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on saying it's too big a problem to take over. It's too big a problem to deal with. Be strong. Focus. Do what you can in your community to help. And you know what? Be kind to others. Why is it so wrong to be kind to others? I was at a peaceful demonstration, and we think there was 1,200 people there. That's a lot for Youngstown, Ohio. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot of people on a very hot, very humid, very nasty Saturday afternoon. People come out, and it was peaceful. There was only one guy there trying to rabble-rouse, and he was really out of control, and I hope he gets some help. I think he was mentally ill, and he wasn't a MAGA person either, so don't think I'm talking about the other side here. The few MAGA people I saw at that rally were well behaved and courteous or polite or not causing any trouble. This was a different situation, and I don't want to get into that any more than I've already talked about in the past. But this fella, I think, needed help. And he wasn't a MAGA. At least he didn't clearly. That wasn't what he was professing. Anyway, I've gone on a long time, and I hope you understand why I feel the way I do and why I had this talk today. I'd like to return to more normal ASMR, but I will do what I need to do to help my people, to defend my flag and defend my country. We have a right to petition our government. We have a right to stand up for what we believe in this country. We have a right to believe what we want to believe in this country. The truth is what the facts are. I don't usually believe things. I go with the facts. And the fact of the matter is, I don't like the direction my country is going. It's scary, and there's a lot of people getting hurt, and there's families being separated, and they're doing things with children. And I thought the whole idea of this was to protect the children. Well, I see a lot of things happening, and I don't like it. And I think you need to do your research too before you throw a stone at me. Just saying. I would like to do something for Pride Month. If you're still watching at the very end of this video, I would like to do something for Pride Month, but I'm a little obtuse and ignorant to the LGBTQ community, and I don't want to offend. So if you have any suggestions that you'd like to pass my way, please send me an email or a comment on what you think I should talk about concerning Pride. What are relevant problems in the LGBTQ community that you'd like me to address on Pride Month? Other than that, I hope you have a wonderful week. I'm having a very nice week. I think I've actually reached a few people that were pretty negative with me, and maybe I've helped get them to think about things. I'm kind of proud of that. So that being said, if you do want to talk to me, reach out. I will talk to you. And I am not deleting comments. If you try to comment like rat-a-tat-tat like a machine gun, YouTube will remove the comments or not show them That's not me, that's YouTube, and I apologize if that's happening to you. I am not deleting comments unless there's a lot of cussing and swearing or threats in them. If there's an overt threat, I'm going to delete it. But I'm not blocking anybody. So you can still comment, just I'm not going to have you putting a threat on my videos. It's not healthy for you, it's not healthy for me, and it scares people. So there are maybe 5 or 6 out of the last 3 videos I had to remove 5 or 6 comments because they were of a threatening nature and they were very unhealthy. I didn't report anybody, and you should be thankful I didn't. And I didn't take them seriously. I mean, to the point where I'm scared. I don't want to hurt somebody by reporting them, and I didn't block anybody. So you can prove that if you wrote something and it didn't show up, and you know what you did. You know you wrote it. Write another comment, and you'll see that I didn't block you. Nobody got blocked in the last. I haven't blocked anybody in a long time. Can't even remember the last time. So go ahead and tear me a new ass all you want. Spew all the hate you want. But there's a point where I'm going to shut you down or tell you to cut it out. So, and you know where that is because there was a couple. But there was one guy that thought I took his comments down. I did not. He was commenting too fast, too often, and YouTube wasn't allowing him to be seen. That's on him. It's not my mistake. YouTube is hard to work with. If your comment isn't there, doesn't show up, and you know your replies especially, it's not me. I'm not moderating. You can put anything on there you want. It's a free for all, which I'm probably opening myself up for attacks by saying that. But I'm doing that because if you're going to have a discussion, if you're going to have a debate, if you're going to have a dialogue, you've got to open up yourself to it. And I've taken a lot of shots in the last few days. This isn't a one-way street. I've had to take a lot of slings and arrows, and I've had to take a lot of shots at people and get them to think. And if you don't like what I'm saying or you don't like what I'm doing, you got to at least appreciate the fact that I'm not trying to silence you. And I'm not. You want to ramble on about your crap? Go ahead. And I've seen some doozies, and I just wish for better days for you and me both. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you don't like what I'm saying. I really am. I'm sorry. But I don't just think I'm right. I pretty much know I'm right on this. Things are getting ugly. And I really don't think it would matter if we had... I think it's time for a change. I think we need to start thinking about how we do things and who we elect, and quit electing geriatric guys into office would be a good start. And that's on all levels, from presidents, senators, everywhere, House of Representatives. I think it's time for the Mitch McConnells, the Nancy Pelosi's, and all of them to go. I think it's time for Bernie Sanders to go. They've served, they've done their duty. I think it's time to get some new young voices in there, and that's not ageism. These people are geriatric. It's time for a younger president that maybe is more in touch with what we're dealing with and what's important to us and issues that are important to us. And I don't think any of you can disagree with that. Let me know if that's important to you too, because if it is, I think that's something we need to talk about as a group. I'm not saying there should be an age limit on politicians, but I think it's getting out of hand. I think we need to get a younger crowd in there and move on from the baby boom generation. I am not a fan of, by the way, not at all. Okay, all you take care, and I hope you have a most blessed day and a wonderful week. Take care, and I'll talk to all of you very soon, all right? And comments, subscribe, thumbs up. It really helps. Talk to you all soon. Stay safe. Stay strong. Okay? You can do it. We'll get through this together. Bye-bye.